Every morning, when Robert felt the silk edge of a borrowed skirt brush his knee, a soft thrill ran through him. In that moment, he remembered who he was meant to be, even as everyone else saw him as a quiet man with broad shoulders and a steady job. He tucked that feeling deep inside, like a secret perfume lingering under his skin. Robert grew up in Cedarville, a small American town where everyone knew each other's business. As a child, he felt different. In grade school, he avoided rough games and sat alone at recess, watching girls play hopscotch and pretend tea parties. One day, a classmate named Jenny invited him to join. Her friends smiled kindly as he settled beside them, and Robert realized he fit more naturally in their gentle world. But that comfort came with fear. One winter afternoon, someone found a pink hair clip he'd dropped. The next day, boys cornered him behind the school and shoved him until his knees bled. "You're a freak," they hissed. Robert hid the bruises beneath his jeans and learned to keep his secret hidden. At home, his late mother's old dresses waited in the attic closet. She had died when Robert was 9, but her scent, soft and floral, lingered in the wooden hangers. Some nights, when his father slept, Robert climbed the rickety stairs and slipped into one of her satin gowns. He balanced on tiptoes, watching his reflection in the dusty mirror. He painted his lips with her lipstick and felt a gentle warmth. This was the person he secretly was. Then he heard his father's floorboard creak. In a panic, Robert tore off the dress and stuffed it back, a knot of shame forming in his chest. High school brought little relief. At Lincoln Academy, an all-boys school, Robert felt neither boyish enough nor brave enough. To shield himself, he pretended to be gay, laughing at crude jokes and hiding the truth even from himself. He dyed his hair blue one week on a dare and almost felt free under the electric color. At dances, he watched others slow dance from the shadows, too frightened to ask a girl or share his secret. His body felt wrong, and his heart ached with longing. After graduation, he worked construction and then saved for college in a nearby city. In his cramped apartment, he met friends in an art class, women who turned a blind eye when he teared up at tragic films. They accepted him without question. He still kept his mother's dresses in a box under the bed and never spoke of them. He learned makeup from late-night YouTube tutorials, practicing in the bathroom light and wiping it off before classes. At 22, Robert met Michael in a downtown cafe. Michael sipped black coffee and sketched a city's skyline. Robert, juggling textbooks, bumped Michael's table and spilled his drink. Mortified, he knelt to help, and Michael smiled. "No worries," he said, brushing dark curls from his face. They talked until closing time, about art, about Robert's shy dreams. Robert felt warmth he had never known. They dated quietly. Michael lived above a small print shop, and Robert, still hiding his truth, introduced himself as just shy. Michael never pried. He adored Robert's quiet humor and the way Robert's eyes lit up talking about architecture. They married 2 years later in a simple ceremony at Cedarvale's town hall. Michael wore a navy suit. Robert wore a gray one. When Robert said his vows, tears stung his eyes. He believed he'd found safety at last. But the old hunger never disappeared. One December evening, Michael surprised Robert with a silky black camisole and matching panties. "For fun," he said with a soft grin. Robert's heart pounded as he held the fabric. That night, under the covers, he traced the satin with his fingertips, feeling a tremble of joy. He slid the camisole on beneath his pajama shirt and felt as if he'd inhaled a secret he could barely contain. In the mirror, he studied the gentle curve of his hips in the fabric and wondered if anyone would ever see the real him. Over the next year, Robert's hidden life grew bolder. He built a small corner in their walk-in closet for women's clothes, underwear, leggings, soft sweaters that draped his hips. Each night, he watched makeup tutorials and tried eyeliner, painting his nails a soft rose. He painted his eyelashes with clear mascara and felt a thrill every morning when he saw their subtle curl. Each new item of clothing felt like a piece of himself coming home. One chilly afternoon, Robert drove to Southport, a city known for its eclectic boutiques. He slipped into a plus-size women's jeans in a small shop. They hugged his waist perfectly, stretching over his thighs in a way men's jeans never had. He tucked his feet into a pair of low-heeled boots and stared at himself in the mirror. His loose sweater hit his chest, and his hair fell in a gentle wave around his ears. For the first time, he felt whole. His reflection whispered that he belonged to this world, not the one he'd been given. That evening, he wore the jeans to work at the design firm where he and Michael both worked. The pockets were shallow, so he learned to carry only a slim card holder in his front pocket. When he sat in meetings, the jeans hugged his thighs, and he caught glimpses of them under the conference table. Fear and delight coursed through him like electricity. He told himself nobody would notice. No one stared. Michael noticed. One night, he traced the edge of the jeans, his thumb brushing against the fabric. "You look happy," he said, his voice gentle with love and confusion. Robert leaned into him and whispered, "I've never felt more myself." In spring, they took a trip to Coral Bay, a coastal city where people wore bright colors and bold styles. Robert packed leggings and capri pants with camo patterns, clothes that whispered his truth. He carried foundation, brown mascara, and rose lip gloss in his backpack. Michael held his hand as they walked along the boardwalk, the sea breeze tousling their hair. Nobody looked twice. Robert felt as if he had melted into the sunlit air. Late one night at a cheap motel by the shore, Robert finally spoke the words he had carried for years. "I think I'm a woman inside," he said, voice trembling. Michael's eyes misted as he reached for Robert's hand. They made love under a thin sheet, gentle and warm. Michael's hands traced Robert's jaw, and Robert felt tears slip down as Michael whispered, "I love every part of you." Their bodies fit together like pieces of a puzzle, but Robert knew in that moment that his journey was only beginning. When they returned home, reality felt heavy. Robert applied once and received an email from a therapist who specialized in gender issues, an appointment scheduled 2 months away. But before he called, he found a message from his father. "Your stepmother fell last night. She's in the hospital." Grief washed over Robert. He drove to Cedarvale and spent nights in a sterile hospital room, watching machines beep. His father blamed himself for everything, and Robert could only hold his hand, unable to share the turmoil inside him. In those silent hours, Robert realized he had spent his life trying not to break. He saw that hiding his truth had cost him years of fear. When he returned home, he cut his hair short again and wore men's jeans. The fabric felt rough against his skin. He faked smiles in meetings, but inside he ached. He hid the leggings under his bed mattress and erased his pastel nail polish. Michael's quiet concern haunted him. He loved Robert, but he had married a man Robert could no longer pretend to be. One evening, Michael found Robert hunched on the couch, old makeup smeared on his cheek. A floral bra lay beside him. Michael knelt and asked softly, "Are you going to transition?" Robert's body trembled. "I don't know who I am," he whispered. "I'm terrified I'll lose you. I love you, Robert. But I love a man. I don't know if I can love you as a woman." The words cut deeper than any knife. Robert understood in his bones. His truth might destroy their life together. In the days that followed, they drifted like two ships in a fog. Michael stayed at his friend's house, saying he needed time to think. Robert would find him asleep on their bed, the pillow untouched by tears. One morning, Michael left a note on the kitchen counter. "I need to figure out who I am without lying to myself. I still love you. I'm sorry." Robert read it with trembling lips. The house felt emptied of warmth, the closet shelves mocking him with their silent clothes. Robert tried to call Michael. The phone rang, then went to voicemail. He sat on their porch swing, watching the sunset smear gold across the sky. He thought of their wedding vows, the joy he felt, and the terror he had buried. That night, he curled into bed alone and wept until he fell into a shaky sleep. Weeks passed. Robert kept one pair of women's jeans and a tank top under his bed. At night, he dressed quietly, slipping into the clothing that felt like home. He painted his nails clear and brushed his eyelashes until they curled. When morning came, he hid the evidence under a loose shirt. Every time he saw his reflection, he saw two people, one who could never be free, one who felt caged. One dawn, he stood in front of a mirror wearing the women's jeans and a soft cami beneath a faded flannel. He ran his fingers along the curve of his waist. The fabric felt like truth against his skin. He kissed the mirror, then turned away and grabbed his keys. He drove to the riverbank where he and Michael used to walk. The water shimmered beneath the rising sun. He sat on a bench they once shared, listening to the gentle rush. A breeze lifted his hair, and he let out a shaky laugh. He realized his lesson. He could only live his truth at a cost. The world would see him in fragments. Some days he might feel powerful, but others he would feel lost. He pressed his hand to his heart and whispered, "I am here." The sound dissolved among the trees. Robert watched the river carry fallen leaves downstream, one by one. He felt a hollow ache, but also a faint spark. Maybe he would survive this heartbreak, stitch by stitch, one hem of fabric at a time. One day, perhaps, he would find someone who could hold both his truths, the gentle longing and the fierce courage. But for now, he was alone, learning to breathe as the woman he had always been.